Okay, today we are going to start the first chapter in biology, that is the living world. So this living world we are going to start basically based on the NEET, and also it can help the board exam also given by the fellow that is called as AKB sir. So let's start. So normally when we go to the living world, first we should know what is the meaning of life. So life is a unique, complex organization of molecules. Means, for example, these are the certain atoms and molecules are present. So these molecules are very unique. Means it will work for a specific functions and they're very complex. So life is a unique complex of molecules which undergo chemical reaction. They normally undergo chemical reactions. As these are made up of molecules for specific reason, for specific area, so these will undergo for chemical reaction, and these chemical reaction will help the growth of the organism, the development of the organism, and its awareness towards the surrounding or responsiveness, its adaptation or variation, and its reproduction to produce the new offspring. So normally all these things comes under if the organism it is in living organism. So normally it is mostly found in living organisms. Got it? Like these are the birds, present animals, these are the plants living, and these are the bacteria, microorganisms, where we find that they do contains life because they can grow, they can develop, they can act according to the surrounding responsiveness, and they also can reproduce. So this is mean of life. Let's move. To define life, we have 5 properties. One is the growth, the reproduction, the metabolism, the cellular organization, and consciousness. So before going details into all this concept, first we should know what is the meaning of defining and non-defining. What is the meaning of defining properties? Defining properties means the properties only found in living organism. The properties only found in living organism. Got it? Then we can call they have a defining property. But then what is non-defining property? Non-defining property. So when we move on to non-defining property, so non-defining properties means the properties having a present, the properties found both in living and non-living. They are found both in living and non-living. Got it? So any properties which is found both in living and non-living, it is called as non-defining properties. But any properties that is only restricted in the living organisms, it is called as the defining properties. So now we should discuss every point under growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness, and see which all are defining properties and which all the properties are non-defining properties. Let's start with growth. So first thing, what is the meaning of growth? Growth means increase in mass and number of cells. For example, suppose a cell undergo division. Suppose the cell divide. So when the cell divide, it increases the number of cell. When the number of cell increases, not only number increase, its mass increase, and also simultaneously its number increase. When mass and number both increases, then we define them as what? Growth. But let's suppose this plant, suppose the seed is germinating, means it is going growth. Now this plumule, this seed will germinate into new plantlets. But in plants, what happens? Suppose, for example, we have a leaf present here. And suddenly what happens if the leaf fall down? Then a new leaf arises. So in plant, what happens? The growth by cell division is continuous throughout the lifespan. So throughout the lifespan, we find growth is present in plants, as plant contains a special tissue that is called as the meristematic tissue. And this meristematic tissue contains the power of division. So most young part of the plants or the bird do contains this meristems, which helps in continuous dividement continuous development throughout its lifespan. But let's consider an animal. In animal, what happens? Growth is only restricted up to a certain age. For example, if anybody finger is amputated, then next time the finger will not develop. After a certain age, the skin becomes wrinkled, the hair falls down, there is no growth in hair, no new increase in number of hairs. So in animals, what happens? We find up to a certain age, the growth is restricted. Got it? Now let's move. Normally what happens? In some organism, in some part of the body, for example, take the condition of skin. Suppose the skin is wounded. So means the cells are lost. But skin cell undergoes division, they undergo cell division and repairs the part or heals the part. But certain part of our body where we find that certain cells becomes permanent and they never divide. For up to a certain age, the bone grows. The bone grows up to a certain age, a certain time period. Similarly, take the example of the stem or the trunk of any tree. They will grow up to a certain age and becomes permanent. And becomes what? They becomes permanent. Got it? So some tissues or some organs replace lost cells. Not all tissues, some tissues, cell division tissues in some tissues occurs in certain tissues. But let's talk about that is called as is growth possible in non-living organism? Yes. In non-living organism, take the condition of mountain. In mountain, what happens? We find, suppose today we see that the mountain is of this much height and this much width. After 10 years, we'll find the mountain size increases. So here what happens? The increase in mass is from outside. So there is an external increase or accumulation of external substances. So accumulation of materials on its surface from external part. So it is also called as growth. So growth is also found in non-living organism. It is a non-living. So as it is non-living, so growth is also restricted in non-living. So here what happens? But in living organism, we find the growth takes place from inside. From inside. That is protoplasmic growth. Protoplasmic growth takes place and also cellular growth. Cellular growth. So two types of growth is found in living organism and is from inside. But in non-living, we find the growth takes place only from outside. So it is only the growth from outside source. So as growth is present in non-living as well as in living, so it is not considered as so growth is not a perfect defining properties of living organisms. So this is about growth. So we have completed the first part of the living properties, that is called as growth. Now let's move to the second part. The second part is called as the reproduction. So what do you mean by reproduction? Reproduction means suppose the organism present and it reproduces to produce its daughter cells. So mostly in unicellular organisms, the reproduction is by means of cell division. Got it? But in most of the organisms, we find, suppose this is the individual present and the individual produce its offspring. The individual produces offspring. So this is called as reproduction. Why? To maintain the generation. So reproduction is the production of progeny or offspring. Similar to it's like, so if it is an animal, if it is a human, then they'll produce human-like offspring. If the parent is a dog, then they'll produce a dog-like offspring. So similar to parents. And normally organism, the reproduction is mostly asexually and sexually. Asexual means without the use of gamete. Asexual means without the use of gametes. The use of gametes. So without use of gametes, and sexual means with use of gametes. Sexual means with use of gametes. So here what we find that reproduction is also part of the life, and reproduction is both asexual and sexually, either with gametes or without gametes. And reproduction, we find that the individual parent individual produce the progeny or the daughter cells. And in reproduction, what happens? In single organism, what happens? This growth, the reproduction in what happens? The cell number or the mass increases. In reproduction, find that the cell number of mass also increases. Means in unicellular organism, growth and reproductions are also same. So in a unicellular organism, what happens? Suppose the unicellular organism, they will reproduce to produce two daughter cells, then again they will reproduce to produce two daughter cells, four daughter cells. So here what happens? The number increases and the mass increases. So growth is similar to reproduction in unicellular organism. And also we find that many organisms being living, they never reproduce. Take the example of mules. So mules never reproduce. Worker bee, they never reproduce. Infertile human couples also never reproduce. So being living, they never reproduce. So it is a non-defining properties. So reproduction is also is not a perfect defining property. It is a non-defining property because some of the organism, they never reproduce. Being living, they never reproduce. Okay. Now move on to metabolism. So what is metabolism? Metabolism is sum total of all biochemical reaction. That means it is the anabolism plus catabolism. Catabolism. Got it? So it is both anabolism and catabolism. So what is anabolism? Anabolism means synthesis. And what is catabolism? It is breakdown. It is called as breakdown. Got it? So metabolism is a chemical reaction taking place within the cell or within the tissue or within the organs. So this sum total of biochemical reaction taking place inside a living system is called as what? Metabolism. But we never find that, for example, in vitro are not living things but a living reaction. For example, suppose we take a test tube. Inside the test tube we go for chemical reaction. Yes, here we find chemical reaction. Here also we find chemical reaction. But here what happened? The chemical reaction is not considered as the metabolic reaction because it is taking place outside the cells. So living reaction taking place outside the body will not consider as a metabolic reaction. So metabolic is the perfect defining property because it is only present in living organism. It is found in living organism, so it is a defining properties. Now let's move into cellular organization. So cellular organization means the organisms are made up of cells. As we all know, we have atoms, and these atoms groups into molecules, and these molecules gather to form cell, and these cells gather to form tissues, and the tissue gather to form organ, and the organ gather to form organ system, and the organ system forms organism. So single cell, this is a single cell organism. When they united, they can form an organism. So this organism is made by cells. Cell is the basic unit of organism. So either the organism may be unicellular, made up of single cell, or it is multicellular, made up of more than cells, as we humans are multicellular. So molecules from cell organelles, cells and tissues. We find these molecules are group of cell organelles or cells. So cellular organism is a perfect defining property of an organism because this mechanism only restricted in living organism. It is not found in non-living organism. So cellular organization is also considered as a well-defining properties. Now let's move into consciousness. Consciousness means to respond to stimuli, mostly the ability of an organism to sense their environment or to respond to stimuli because they have neurons. Because we have neurons, we have brains. So these are the neurons present. The neurons contains the function that they respond to stimuli. They respond to stimuli. And this is the vital process of all living organisms. They can respond to stimuli of light, water, temperature, any organism, any chemicals, any pollutants, etc. etc. So organisms that respond to stimuli, why? Because they have special neurons or this nervous tissue present or brain present. So this is only restricted in living organism. It is absent in non-living organism. So all organisms are aware of their surrounding. Yes, definitely. So all organisms are aware of their surroundings, either plants or either animals. They are aware what is happening to the surrounding. Accordingly, they respond, and accordingly they react, and accordingly they grow and develop. But human beings are the only organism having self-consciousness. So human beings can detect which one is right, which one is wrong, what to do, what not to do, and which one is benefited, which one is not benefited. So human being is the only organism having self-consciousness. So overall we came to know that living organism respond to stimuli and living organism contains consciousness. So as consciousness is a perfect defining property to all living organisms. So these are the 5 defining properties and non-defining properties we came under the living organisms. So we have completed the first part, that is the properties of living organism. Now we'll move to the next part. Okay. Diversity in the living organism. So what do you mean by diversity? So normally diversity means the total number of species or organism present in the earth or in the habitat. So the total number of organisms present in the surrounding or in our biosphere is called as biodiversity. So the number of species till date is 1.7 to 1.8 million. So what is biodiversity? The number and types of organisms present on earth or in this biosphere is called as what? Biodiversity, and the value is at present 1.7 to 1.8 millions. Let's start about what is taxonomy and systematic. So taxonomy is the branch of science in biology that deals with the study of identifying any organisms, classifying or grouping the organisms, and after grouping, naming the organism called nomenclature, and then going for its documentations or its paperwork. So systematic means these arrangements, whatever the arrangement, whatever the identification nomenclature, should be arranged systematically so that it will be easy to detect any organism. So it is systematic position. And this systematic concept was given by the fellow that is called as Carolus Linnaeus, and with the word, and the systematic comes with the Latin word that is called as system. So the Systema Naturae is the book written by a famous scientist that is called as Carolus Linnaeus. So Carolus Linnaeus is the father of that is Binomial Nomenclature, and he wrote a book that is Systema Naturae, and inside Systema Naturae he described about taxonomy and what is systematic and how taxonomy is being defined and grouped, etc. Let's detail study. So what is the process of taxonomy? So under process of taxonomy we'll go details into that is its characterization, its identifications, its classification or grouping, and again naming. Let's move one by one. So what is characterization? So characterization means the fundamental characters present in an organism to identify that it is of this specified organism or not. So characterization is understanding the characters of an organism, and the characters may be external character or it may be internal structure. Either the character is from external field or from internal field. It may be the structure of cells, it may be the developmental process, or it may be the ecological process. So when we define characterization, we come to the conclusion that the character must have certain external features, internal features that deals with the structure, its development, and ecological informations. Similarly, after going through characterization, we should identify it, what kind of organism it is. So nomenclature, naming an organism. So before naming an organism, the first process is to identify that it is living or non-living. If it is living, in which categories. So identification. So we should know that what organism the name is attached to it, and that condition is called as what? Identification. After identification, we should group the organism. For example, cat or dog or birds or frogs. So they are categorized, or plants. They are categorized into different groups according to the features, similar, dissimilar characters. And this grouping of the organisms according to the categories, according to the characters, is called as taxa. So these are individual taxa. So classification is normally based on these characters. So according to the characters, we group the organisms according to their features. So this grouping of organisms according to individual characters, individual groups features called as taxa or rank. So after giving a characterization, after grouping any organism, then we go for its name. So naming an organism is called as nomenclature. So a particular organism is known by its name. So this name, how to name an organism and what is nomenclature, and this nomenclature system was given by a famous scientist that is called as Carolus Linnaeus in the form of binomial nomenclature. Bi means two naming system. Let's move what is binomial nomenclature. And these binomial nomenclature are based on both plants and for animals. So under plants, so plants are the rules and regulations to name all plants are present inside ICBN, that is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, and for animals it is ICZN, that is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Let's move. So what are the rules and regulation of this binomial nomenclature given by Carolus Linnaeus? So the rules and regulation given by means the scientific names are generally in Latin form. These are Latin. And when the scientific names are written, it should be italics. Italics means it is printed. When it is printed, because we cannot handwritten. So when it is printed, it should be italics. But when it is handwritten, it should be underlined separately. Suppose we write, that is, for example, we take an example that is called as Homo sapiens. For example, let's take Homo sapiens. So Homo and sapiens should be underlined separately because Homo is the genus, sapiens is the species. So this two naming system is called as binomial nomenclature. So here we underline the word Homo sapiens separately. And the rule is that the first word should be the genus or the generic name genus, and the second word should be species or the specific epithet. And the names are printed. When they are printed, it should be in italics. But the rules tells that the first word should be genus, first name should be in genus form, and the second name should be in species form. But the first name, the genus, always starts with the capital letter, and the second name, that is the species, starts with the small letter. For example, Homo sapiens. So Homo, this starts with capital letter H, and species starts with small letter S. So this is the genus and this is the species. Got it? So this is how the rules and regulations are applied for naming binomial nomenclature any scientific name. So Homo represent the genus, yes, as we have discussed. Sapiens describe the species. So together we find genus Homo and sapiens species. So if any author describe that particular species or particular genus, then the author name also appears after the name of the species, and that is called as, that is author citation. So author citation is the name of the author written after the species, so that it indicates that the author described this particular species. Like for take the example of Mangifera indica, mango. So mango stands for genus, indica stands for Indian species. But here this was given by the fellow that is called as Linnaeus. So as it is given by Linnaeus, so its name is written after indica, after the species, and this is called as author citations. Now let's move into how to systematically arrange the taxons or rank, so that it will be easy to identify any organism and easy to categorize any organism. So there are 7 groups or 7 hierarchy of steps. Hierarchy are the rank or the taxa. These are the taxa. Hierarchy are the rank or the taxa, and all the 7 categories of taxa together constitute taxonomic hierarchy. So let's move into taxonomy hierarchy. Means the lowest one is the species. The lowest one is the species, then followed by genus, then followed by family, then order, then class, then phylum, then kingdom. So this is how it has been 7 hierarchy, and sometimes this 7 hierarchy is called as taxonomic tree. Taxonomic tree. Let's define. For example, suppose this is the main trunk. This is the trunk of a tree. The trunk of a tree is considered as the main kingdom. And the main branch, suppose the main branch, it is called as the phylum. or division. And the sub-branch is called as the class, and its sub-branch is called as the order, and its sub-branch, if present, is called as the family, and its sub-branch are called as the genus, and the leaves present are called as the species. The leaves are species and this is the genus. Got it? So it indicates what? The group of species will form this branchlet, and this group of branchlets will form this branch, and this group of branch will form this branch, and this group of branch will form this branch, and this group will form this branch and this pool. So it is a taxonomic tree. This is called as the tree system, tree categories of taxonomy, or we can call 7 hierarchy of classification. That is, the smallest hierarchy is the species, then followed by genus, then followed by family, then followed by order, then followed by class, then followed by phylum, then followed by kingdom. So in animal case, we go for phylum. But for plant we go for division. So for plant we go for division. Got it? And each group is called as the taxon or the rank. So each group is the taxon or the rank. And the smallest taxon or the smallest rank is the species. So species regarded as the smallest rank. And the highest rank is called as the kingdom. So kingdom is called as the highest rank. Got it? So group of species form genus. Group of genus form family. Group of family forms order. Group of order form class. Group of class form phylum or kingdom. And group of phylum or kingdom forms kingdom. And this phylum or division, phylum stands for animal and division stands for plant. Together, their group is called as kingdom. So we have both either plant kingdom or we have animal kingdom. So this is called as 7 hierarchy of classification. Let's start with individual hierarchy. First, what do we mean by species? Species means group of individuals with similarities, same fundamental similarities, and they can interbreed among themselves. Got it? And species regards the lowest category. Let's take an example. Mangifera indica. Indica is the species. Panthera leo, that is the species. Homo sapiens is the species. And these are the genus. Got it? So species is the lowest category, and species contains all fundamental similar characters, and all the similar characters present, and this species has the power of interbreeding themselves. Now let's move on genus. Genus is a group of species, aggregation of close related species. Let's take an example. The Solanum is a genus. Under Solanum we find potato is a species, tomato is a species, brinjal is a species. Why? Now certain similar characters are present. So in tomato, potato and brinjal we find certain similar characters are present. So as similar characters are present, so these are categorized under a single genus, single group or single rank, that is called as Solanum. Let's take an example of animal. That is lion, Panthera leo, leopard, pardus, and these are lion, leopard, tiger. These are species included under the genus that is called as Panthera. So here what we find, some characters, similar characters are equivalent with lion and leopard, or lion with tiger, or leopard with tiger. Got it? So genus are group of species with certain similar characters. So maximum similar characters will present in genus. Let's talk about, so genus forms, for example, cat, felis, cat group. Now let's take family. So what is family? Again, family is the group of related genus. So when we move from species to genus to family, so what happened? Here we find between genus and species maximum similar characters. But when we move on to genus to species, here we find less similar characters. Got it? So when we move to the highest rank, the similar character goes on decreasing, and the dissimilar characters goes on increasing. But when we move from highest rank to lowest rank, for example, when we move from highest rank to lowest rank, when we move from highest rank to lowest rank, from highest rank to lowest rank, what we find? Now we find the similar characters goes on increasing, similar characters, and the dissimilar character goes on decreasing. This is the conditions. So let's talk about the genus and species. So Solanaceae, ACE, Solanaceae. So Solanaceae is the family that includes the Solanum, the Petunia genus, and the Datura genus. So Solanum genus, Petunia genus, and Datura genus, they all are included under the family Solanaceae. Means they have some characters similar to it. Not all characters. Some characters are similar to them. So like for take the example of animals. So Felidae. In Felidae we find Panthera genus and Felis, that is a cat group and is a tiger group. So we find some similar characters are present between these two. So these both included under the family that is called as Felidae. Got it? Now let's move order. So order same, group of related families. So order means assembly or group of related families. For example, when we are dealing with that is about plant, in orders we find the suffix L, LES. So Polymonials is that particular order where we find the family Convoluaceae and Solanaceae. So Solanaceae, Convoluaceae have certain similar, not all similar characters. So here we find less similar character, less similar characters. We find less similar, but maximum dissimilar characters. Got it? Similarly, let's take an example of animals, that is Carnivora. Carnivora is that order which includes Felidae and Canidae. Got it? So these two are families. So when we move on to class is again related species, order, sorry. It is assembly of related orders. And in class what we find Primata is an order and Carnivora are order. These both order are placed under a class that is called as Mammalia. So this Primata and Carnivora are the type of order present in a single class that is called as Mammalia. Similarly, what is phylum or division? Either phylum or division. Either phylum or division. So these are related class. So phylum stands for animals and division stands for plant. So like class amphibians, reptilia, apes, or mammalia, they all come under the Chordata. Got it? So this is how we classify, like angiosperm we have gymnosperm. In plants we have bryophyta, we have pteridophyta. Under bryophyta we have class that is moss, we have moss, we have liverworts, etc. etc. Got it? So this is how the taxonomic hierarchy helps in identifying the characters, helps in grouping the characters, and also helps in naming the characters. So this is all about our taxonomic categories or taxonomic system. Now move on kingdom at last. We find kingdom is the highest category. And we have two type of kingdom. One is called as plant and animal, but we have also 5 kingdom system. In biological classification we'll study details about 5 system classification. Here according to Carlos Linnaeus, we only define animalia, plants and animals. So we have completed the taxonomic and systematic form of this part. Now let's move how the taxonomic categories belongs. For example, take an example of man. We write Homo, genus sapiens, species. For housefly, Musa domestica, means this is the genus, the species. Mangifera indica, genus, species. Triticum aestivium, genus, species. So this is all about your taxonomic categories and how, what are the rules and regulation of taxonomic categories and how these taxonomic categories are defined, categorized and explained so that we can properly identify any given organism with its character and with its certain features. Okay. How to know what are the organisms present, how the organisms are present. So what is herbarium? Herbarium means it is a storehouse. It's a storehouse of collected plant specimen. So it is a storehouse of collected plant specimen is called as what? The herbarium. So means, for example, we'll take a paper sheet and here we'll collect and paste the plant, and this paper sheet, inside the paper sheet we will write our categorize our systematic position or taxonomic positions. So this is called as herbarium. So any plant species which is dried and pasted, pressed and preserved on a sheet is called as herbarium. So specimens are arranged according to their accepted classification. Normally in herbarium, what happens? Let's see. So herbarium is a seed. Yes, we are taking a seed. We label the seed, its date, its place, and the label may be of English or its local or its botanical names may be written. And here we'll also name its family name and the collector's names are also mentioned. So herbarium is a seed of collected plant species in dried dead form. To identify the organism, it is very easy for identification. Now let's go for living organism. When we go for collection of living organism in a particular habitat in a particular area, that is in the form of gardens, that is called as botanical gardens. So in botanical gardens we find or we collect living plants. So living plants are collected and taken care of it. So they are used for reference and identification purposes, and each plant is labeled with its botanical name and family, or you can call them, each plant is named according to its uses, its benefit, either medicinal use or non-medicinal use. So accordingly we find this type of categorization or this type of identification nomenclature found to be present in the botanical gardens. For example, take the famous botanical garden in the world, that is the garden located in Kew, that is England. It is called as Royal Botanical Garden. And in India, we find Indian Botanical Garden present in Kolkata, that is Howrah. And also we find National Botanical Research Institute in Lucknow. So these are the famous botanical gardens in different parts of the world. Now let's do the second taxonomic aids, that is called as museum. So what is museum? In museum, what happens? We collect and preserve special plants and animals for study and reference. So museum is meant to study the special plants and animals, and its references are taken from it. And these, in museums we always preserve dead animals and dead plants. And these dead animals and dead plants are preserved in preservative solutions and inside in solution jars. So normally the plant and animal species are also preserved in dry specimen. Either they are present in solutions inside the jars or they are present in dry specimens. Got it? Now in museum what happens? We also contain special box present, that is called as insect box are present. And this insect box, inside the insect box what happen? Now suppose this is the insect box present. So suppose the insect is present. So we kill the insects. After killing, we pin the insect. We pin the insect and keep in the particular box, so it is being preserved. So this is called as insect box. Sometimes what happens? Larger animals like birds and mammals are stuffed. They are stuffed. Means, for example, some wooden part is taken present as skeleton form, and their skin is covered on this wooden part. So as a result, it looks like what? It is stuffed. So this type, this is a stuffed animals. It looks like as if the actual animal is present, but no, only the skin and some part of the animal is present, which are preserved on a bone or any dead materials. Also, museum helps in collection of animal skeletons. Certain skeletons are also preserved in the museum for study and its reference. Now about the third, that is called zoological parks. And these zoological parks where we find the live animals are kept. Wildlife animals are kept in protected environment under human care is called a zoo, or we do call them as zoo or zoological parks. So zoological parks helps us to identify the organism, how they learn, they take their food habitats, their behavior and their activities all are identified inside the zoo. Then we move on to key. What are keys? Now key is a special device used to identify special species. So, and the key is based on similarities and dissimilarities characters, and like contrasting and non-contrasting. What is contrasting character? Identifying character. So all identifying characters are taken into consideration, and these identifying characters are called as couplets, or contrasting characters are called as couplets. And inside contrasting character, we find similarities, and the similarity is one type of key, and dissimilarity is one type of key. So two keys are present. So couplet represent always two choice or two key present, one accepted and one rejected. So each statement, so suppose this is accepted statement and rejected statement, and each statement is called as lead. Each statement is called as lead, and both them are called as couplet. Couplet, and it is called as the key. Got it? So any key contains either similar or dissimilar characters. Either the characters are accepted or it is rejected, and each statement is called as the lead. Got it? So this is how we can easily identify any organisms. And at last we move into flora, manuals, monographs and catalogs. So now flora are the collection of plants and fauna are the collection of animals. So flora are the collection of plants on the particular habitat and particular area. Similarly, fauna are the collection of animals at particular area. Why? So that we can in that particular area we can identify the correct number of correct species. So from flora and fauna we can easily identify, suppose in this particular area the species of tigers are more, and this particular area the species of elephant are more. So like this it helps us to identify the specified species of its specified location or habitat. That is flora for plants and more. Sometimes we use manuals, like we have manuals in any of our gadgets or any instrument we get, or any gift we give, we have gadgets. Like that manuals provide deep informations about that particular species and at particular area. And what are monographs? Monographs are special taxon with its information. So if special taxon or special information, that is called as what? That is monographs. And what are catalogs? Catalogs are alphabetical terms, books present A, B, C, D. So in A, what kind of species present, in B, what kind of species present, in C, what kind of species, and so on. So catalogs are alphabetical arrangements of species. Got it? So this here we can easily identify the organism with a very short span of time, the organism character, its benefits, its uses, its habitat, and what is the behavior. So this is all about the manuals and monographs. So we have almost completed the total chapter that what is deals with this particular informations. Now let's start with question practice. So normally in NEET we find statement questions coming, match the following coming, assess reasoning coming. Let's practice one by one. For example, in assess and reasoning question, what we find, if both assertion A and B are right, then R is the correct explanation, that it is A. If both A and R are right, but R is not the correct explanation, then it is B. If A is true and R is false, it is C. If A is false, R is true, it is D. Let's talk. Let's go for assessment reasoning. The extraordinary diversity of organisms inhabiting extreme environments, yes, such as hot spring, deserts, deep oceans, they are based on solely habitat, yes. The organism which habitats desert, deep oceans. Why? Now, living organisms exhibit a wide range of adaptation. Yes, they can adapt a wide range for their survival under varied condition. So the answer is A. Now let's move second. In Binomial Nomenclature, the generic name is written in lowercase, while the specific, so generic name is false. This is false. So association is false. Scientific name must be italicized when printed. Yes, it is true. Got it. And for example, if multicellular organisms growth generally occurs through an increase in cell number is true. Cell division is true. And in non-living we find accumulation of external matter is true. So living growth is intrinsic and originates from within the organism is also true. So for which we find cell growth and all this thing. Taxonomy deals with exclusive identification of organism and does not include nomenclature. This is false. But taxonomy encompasses identification. Yes, this is true. So it is D. Classification is essential for organism biological knowledge systematically. Yes. Without classification study, yes, it's true. Now, which statement is true? Zoological parks are places where wild animals are kept and protected. Yes, it's true. Zoological parks enable us to learn about the food habitats. That is true. All animal zoos are provided special condition to the natural habitats. It's true. Museums of culture preserve plants, the preserved animal species for study and reference. Is true. So all of them are true. Genus represent a group of closely related species. Is true. Match the following. So when we go for match the following, this primates, this wheat, quails, this mango, sapiens, housefly, diphtheria. So match the following, we got it. Let's go with the statement. Biological museums are generally set up in educational institutes such as schools and colleges. Yes. Biological museum, especially in biological. Specimens are preserved in containers or jars, preserved, yes. Plants and specimens may also be preserved in dry, yes. Museum also contains skeleton as we have just studied. So all of these are right. Which of the following is incorrect? Classification involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a category or rank. Yes. A is true. Category in classification known as taxonomic categories. B is true. All get together form taxonomic hierarchy. Is true. Each category refers a unit of classification known as taxon. Is also true. So all of them are true. I think it is all of them are true. It is not. It is all of them are true. So this is all about certain practice questions. For more information, if anybody wants to practice more questions, they can go to this particular link, and in this link they can easily go for practice. In this particular link, you will get all the study materials, all the mind maps, all worksheet, online practice questions, online exams, everything you will get in this particular site. And also here also will get everything. Okay, when we click this link, we go to the particular site, and this is the particular site. And in this particular site where you can get the study materials of all classes, class 5, class 6, class 7, class 8, class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, and also get the subjective board level questions. And we can also find NEET, CUT exams, or UAT exam, Olympiads. Let's go for NEET, for example. So when you go for NEET, let's go for class 11, that is the living world. So when we go, first let's go for this particular link. What is present in this particular link? Let's see. So when we go for this, we find the notes present. These are the links present. So let's move. These are the notes present. So we can easily go through we can study the notes here. Very easily we can notes. All the notes are present here in systematic form. And again we find the mind maps are present. We can find the mind maps. These are the mind maps present. Each mind map is easier for you to grow. You know what are the growth of mind maps. Specialized mind maps are present. Okay. And with mind maps also you can go for the practice questions present. For example, go for practice questions. Here we find the practice questions present. Here you can download the materials. Suppose anybody wants to download the PDF, you can click and download. You can go for the worksheet, and you will get the ample amount of questions present. For example, let's haphazardly we go for it with questions, and also we'll get the solution. Similarly, with questions, we'll get the solutions. Similarly, go for questions and get the solution. Whatever you have studied, you can go and practice it easily. So this is about your practice knowledge. To get the practice knowledge, you can go from it. Got it? Clear? So like this, you'll get 50 questions like this. For example, I'm just happily going. So you're getting 50 questions plus you're getting the questions like this. Got it? Now, for example, suppose for example, we want to practice, we want to know our score, then you go for this particular link. It is D2 exams condition. So here you will get 4 marks for correct and minus for negative, and here the time period starts and the number of questions you are going. For example, you go haphazardly, I am clicking it. Suppose we are giving an online, you can give the exam, you can practice the chapter, and here you can per chapter will get 1000 questions, 700 800 questions are present per chapter. So it will be easy for you practice for need basis. So easily you can go for it. So I'm just haphazardly going for it. After clicking everything, you simply move down, and after going there, for example, okay, you submit. You'll know your marks, how many correct, how many are wrong, and how many are skipped. And also you can want to review your answer. For example, you can know the answer. You can get the answer with solution. Answer, and also you get the solution. Answer with solution. You get the answer with solution. So it will benefit you for every chapter. It will be easier for you to practice. So better at one platform. In this particular platform, you will get all study materials, mind maps, question practice, PDFs, worksheet, and also online exam you will get. Suppose here is a class 12 board exam. Suppose anybody preparing for board, let's take, then here what happened, 1 mark questions present. Then we'll go for 2 mark questions and answers are present. Then we have 3 marks, 4 marks long questions, 5 marks questions are present with solution. Questions with solution, questions with solution, questions with solution. Suppose anybody go for that is class 12 for example, and anybody go for this particular chapter that is called a sexual reproductive parents. Here not only you get the notes, in addition to notes you will get short answer questions, long answer questions, NCERT book solution, detailed solution. Here you get the detailed solution of the books, detailed solution, NCERT book solution. We get the mind maps, you get download PDF, you got the download worksheet, and also you have practice sets, and also you have practice questions present, NEET format. Got it? Easily you can practice the questions, easily you can go for it. So it will be handy and easy and save time, because at one platform you are having everything. You are having everything, not only exam, not only study materials, you are also having book solution, you are also having mind maps. Let's go for this NCERT book solutions. These are the NCERT book solutions present, and also you got additional 20 or more, that is of long questions related to this chapter, long questions. You also have short questions related to the chapter, particular chapters. And also you have the study materials, detailed study materials, notes, point wise notes, NCERT based notes, NEET based notes, and also you have the mind maps present. You can go for the mind maps easily. Mind maps present for each and every chapter. Got it? You can easily go through the mind maps, and these are the mind maps present. What are the drawbacks present? What are the points wise? You'll get the mind maps present. You can download the mind maps, whatever you can. So in a single platform, you can access all study materials, all type of study materials from all different classes. Got it? And you have mind maps present. You have all exam covers, MCQ practice present, chapter wise notes are present. Hope this will benefit and save lot of time. Okay, thank you.